Okay, what is up? Let's bring that music down. Alright, let's make sure my sound is working correctly here. Okay, we're good. I think we're good here. Alright, welcome to Thursday's live stream. Let me bring that music down a little bit more actually. Okay, perfect. So, 10 likes. Hey, you guys are really stepping it up with those likes now. Thank you guys so much. Even before the stream begins. It is amazing to see as always, guys. Alright, so tonight we're going to be talking about AMD as it says on the title. Is AMD cooked or not? That is the question of the year now. Well, it should be the question leading into 2025 as well, because I truly believe that AMD should be in your watch list next year for a long and a short. Because this is where it gets a little dicey here about whether or not to be very bullish or very bearish as we head into 2025, especially with semis as an entire group, right? So first of all, before we even begin with AMD specifically, I want to briefly go over how semiconductors have been doing. So again, just as a reminder, guys, the health of a bull market relies on rotations, right? Sector rotations and individual leading group rotations. And so far, we've been seeing all that focus and attention and all that money inflow going into the leading software group. And even today after hours, we saw a lot of individual software names just skyrocketing to the upside with amazing quarterly results, amazing revenues, amazing earning beats, right? So basically everything was great, right? Everything is dilly-dally. We're celebrating everything, right? Now, this sector rotation has been extremely good for software, but the semiconductors have been lagging. That is a fact, right? And guys, you guys are going to be hearing me drink a lot of water. I just came back from the gym, so I like to do my nightly gym sessions before I do my streams here. Well, I have a little tiny home gym here. That's what I'm referring to. So I got a good workout in before my stream. But disregarding my gym talk here, if you take a look at SMH, right? This is the semiconductor ETF from VanEck. Obviously, semiconductors have been lagging. If you take a look on the weekly or even on the monthly time frames, right, we've just been flagging and flagging and flagging and flagging, right? We've been moving very tightly without any further advancement. Now, what does this chart tell you other than the fact that this is lagging compared to the the software group? Well, here's one thing that I've been thinking about. So, what if semiconductors are already priced in to the maximum growth story that we've been expecting to see since last year? Because again, look at how much semiconductors have moved in anticipation for this AI revolution since October 2022 or even October 2023, right? When we had these two bottoming price actions on these two weekly candlesticks, right? In mid-October and early October as well, okay? So to me, this just seems like maybe that growth story or that growth perspective for the overall AI revolution that is led by semiconductors, because why? Because they literally power the AI revolution, has become a bit mature, right? We're expecting a bit more of a quote-unquote value play coming out of the semiconductors and the entire group compared to other quote-unquote growth stories for AI, like, for example, like I mentioned on last night's stream, utilities, right? Utilities is kind of becoming a byproduct of the AI revolution, and potentially they can become a growth story. And just the overall utility sector's earnings are fairly cheap, right? The average earnings or even just the P&E ratios is very, very cheap still right now, even after this nice run up in this second half of this year. And so what I'm trying to get at here is that maybe we shouldn't try to focus too much on semiconductors as we head into the end of this year, and also as we head into next year as well. And it might be a better choice to try to focus on more of the byproducts of the AI revolution, like utilities, like energy, like individual tickers that will be benefiting from the powerhouses or the literal powerhouses of the AI revolution, like semis here, and just focus on those tickers only, compared to trying to focus on the companies, the industry or the sector that is responsible for this AI revolution. Okay. So that's kind of my overall general thesis. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Now, obviously, that's kind of more of a macro perspective. The fact that the semiconductors could be maturing here, or at a point of maturation or maturation here. I think that's a real word here, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually look that up. Yeah, maturation. Just had to confirm. I think I remember that long time ago from my SATs. If you guys remember that. Okay, so with the semiconductors now, with that in mind, okay, I'm not saying that we should be seeing, a massive move down or any type of a bear market happening with just the semiconductor group. Again, these are our market leaders. We have yet to see any type of a theme shift or a complete pivot on what the overall markets think about leaders, right? The leaders always have been semiconductors and software. Just for now, we're seeing software getting all that love and attention. And it makes sense, right? There's individual companies and leading companies that continue to beat earnings and beat revenue and just have record quarters. And it just seems really, really good for that specific group. Now, how does this apply to AMD? Okay, so if I remember, I think the current average analyst price target for AMD is sitting around 185-ish, if I remember. 185 and a couple of cents. If I'm wrong, I'm probably off about a couple of cents or even a dollar. But anyways, you guys get the picture, right? So basically, if I just take a look at their targets, their own average maximum target for AMD at 185, it's fairly close to this weekly level of resistance sitting at 187.20, right? I've highlighted this here using this resistance level, this horizontal line, and then make it red. Okay, now disregard this. I put this back in, I think back in June or July, somewhere around here. It worked out great, but unfortunately I didn't get it. Okay, so this swing trade idea, hopefully someone got it. Nonetheless, okay, let's take that out from the view. So AMD, to me, the growth story is still there for AMD individually as a company. But if you guys watched my, or if you guys viewed my replay of NVIDIA, there's a stream that I did about NVIDIA specifically. I believe the title is called Interested in Investing in NVIDIA? Watch this first. I will link it down below, or maybe right now. Let me actually link it down right now in the live chat room. Okay, you guys might want to watch this stream, because I know NVIDIA is still a very popular company, but just being popular does not mean that NVIDIA is going to go up higher, right? So I need you guys to watch this video, because it's very, very important before you guys try to invest in NVIDIA, maybe starting next year. Maybe you guys have a new goal to begin long-term investing for a long-term account, like an IRA, like a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, right? So let me actually share it now in the stream chat here. Okay, so make sure you guys watch this whenever you guys get the chance, or maybe after the stream is done. Okay, so if you guys watch that video, you guys should know that NVIDIA is really, I mean, they're literally just pushing through and trying to become the main contributor to AI accelerator chips. And it's kind of hard for even leading companies like AMD to try to catch up, because again, NVIDIA has the rapport of all the other big companies that are trying to use their chips, because we do know NVIDIA's chips are superior, and they continue to develop really, really advanced chips that other companies like even AMD are struggling to keep up with, right? And yes, AMD still has a pretty good edge over all the other semiconductor companies that are also trying to keep up with NVIDIA. And you know, I'm not saying to be bearish on that, but you need to know who the #1 player is in this group, this semiconductor group, and that is NVIDIA. Now also, how does that apply to AMD? Well, so AMD, if you guys take a look at this article that I was reading earlier today, okay, so AMD also has been, you know, basically trying with their own AI accelerator chips, right? And they're trying to battle it out with NVIDIA, which is kind of interesting because if you guys didn't know, the CEO of AMD and CEO of NVIDIA are actually related. Right, I don't know if they're first cousins removed or something like that. I don't quite remember the actual family tree, but they are related. They share similar blood, right? And so it kind of makes sense that AMD could be the second leading semiconductor company because, well, maybe Jensen Huang and Lisa Su could be exchanging ideas. Who knows, right? They're probably not, but just my ideal world in my head, okay? So, if you guys remember, back in October, I believe, what was it, 9th or 10th? Let me make sure I get this date right. October 10th, right. So on October 10th, so when this article was written, they had their Advancing AI event in California, right? And I watched that entire conference, and they had some pretty intriguing products and chips coming out, especially the AI accelerator chips. And they're basically providing a lot of good details on what their chips can do, and most likely investors and just people who are trying to buy chips from either NVIDIA or AMD could compare information compared to NVIDIA's GPU chips and compared to AMD's chips as well, or basically their overall AI accelerator chips. And so, hey, well, welcome guys, welcome. I just saw someone's reaction there, so thank you guys, thank you. And if you guys have not yet hit that like button down below, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you guys don't want to, that's your choice. I'm just suggesting it. It's just one click away, that's all I'm saying. But it really helps out with YouTube. It really pushes out my streams to people who may or may not be involved with Charts Focus 1 and what we do here. So it really helps out with the overall community outreach. So if you guys can hit that like button down below, I would gladly appreciate it. Okay, so with NVIDIA, well, AMD actually, so they showed off their, as it says here, they provide details on its Instinct MI325X AI accelerator and showed off its Ryzen AI Pro 300 processors for AI PCs for enterprise customers. Now, the way that the overall share price has reacted, okay, after this conference, kind of tells us what's happening here, right? So it seems like the market is not overtly confident as to what they saw during their Advancing AI event for AMD. Because after this event, if you don't take a look at the percentage move down, well, from the peak here from October 10th all the way down to the lows here of November, this is down nearly 23%, right? So that is clearly the market saying something here, saying, maybe AMD is still not ready yet, even after the fact that we've seen a lot of good chips and overall just products coming out from AMD, but maybe they're not ready to at least compete head to head with NVIDIA. Maybe right now it's more of a head-to-toe situation, right? It's not nearly a head-to-head, it's more of a head-to-toe situation compared to AMD and NVIDIA. So, now, how does this translate for the future, right? Because again, before I began the stream here, I told you guys that I'm kind of iffy here, trying to be overtly bullish or overtly bearish, because I'm kind of both, right? And it depends on the time frame. So long term, obviously, I will be bullish, because why not, right? Why wouldn't I be bullish on AMD? This is an essential semiconductor company that is literally only second to NVIDIA, but I also do know that competition is currently rising that AMD is going to have to go against like a lot of other newly growing semiconductor companies that are also participating in this AI revolution. I do know that as well. So that is another bearish case or take that you can put towards that bearish group. Now, currently, from a technical perspective, I am still bearish. Okay, why is that? Well, on the weekly time frame, let's start off with the weekly, all the higher time frames. Hey, what's up, guys? Wow, we have a lot of people. Whoa, 40 people tonight. Holy crap. I just got a reading of 40 people. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. If you guys are new, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. And hopefully the music isn't too loud. Okay, I think we are back here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I think we're back. Hopefully my voice is not wonky anymore and I'm not lagging. Okay, there we go. I just played the playback here on my laptop that YouTube provides. Okay, all right, I think we're good. My apologies, guys. I did not know my my voice was being all cut out like that. It sounded like a robot. I was like, oh, all right, so. As I was saying, now before I kind of continue, let me just do a quick summary. So, overall, I'm not overtly bearish or overtly bullish, and that depends on the time frame as well. And I still think that NVIDIA NVIDIA is still the top dog here, but when we compare NVIDIA to AMD, it's not a head-to-head battle yet. It's more of a head-to-toe battle. All right, so that's what I think. And also for the overall semiconductor sector, maybe we're seeing more of a maturation coming on onto the entire group, and that maybe we're sort of seeing kind of a quote-unquote value play coming back in. Maybe people might be seeing that the growth story from semiconductors are kind of dissipating now. We've seen the price run up a lot since October 2022 or October 2023. So there really isn't much to try to be so overtly bullish, just simply based on AI. So maybe that's the reason why we're seeing a bit more focus on software right now, which has been killing it. And software has also been a huge beneficiary from the AI revolution, thanks to semiconductors that are powering this AI revolution. And maybe that people are now thinking that these beneficiaries have yet to see that entire growth story that the semiconductors have received for all of 2023 to 2024. And so that brings us to AMD, which is now seeing that similar application of the fact that maybe, just maybe, that AMD, just because it's still not the #1 semiconductor yet, which I don't think it will, but at some point, we're going to be seeing a lot of, head-to-head battles between NVIDIA and other semiconductor companies, because we do know that competition is still rising against AMD itself, and obviously for NVIDIA. Right? So it makes sense to me that AMD still hasn't received a lot of love. We do know that the #1 company is NVIDIA. That's a fact. I mean, if you think that's wrong, well, tell it to the charts. Tell it to the valuation of the company, right? Investors are bullish on NVIDIA. That is for sure. And so with AMD here, from a technical standpoint, this is where I left off now, right? That's just a quick summary. Again, please tell me if my voice is wonky or if I'm cutting out constantly, right? I want to make sure that you guys are able to come back to the replay to remember what I've said, and I do not want my voice to be going oh. Okay, so from a technical standpoint, AMD is still unfortunately bearish. Okay, unfortunately. Now, it all depends on the time frame, and the higher time frames all point towards more downside. Why? Well, first of all, we have this massive descending channel that began, well, since the beginning of this year. If you guys remember, back in February, I gave out NVIDIA as a swing trade, and it blasted to the upside. And I, for one, sold way too early on that swing trade. But hey, Hindsight is 2020. I can't do anything about that, but it is what it is. But what I'm trying to tell you guys here is that while NVIDIA continued to run up higher due to that, the price basically trying to price in the AI revolution that the entire company was facing and experiencing, AMD on the other hand topped out, which is interesting, and it began to move down, and it began a divergence compared to NVIDIA and AMD. And so this to me also kind of confirms that AMD is still head to toe compared to NVIDIA, with the toe being AMD and with the head being NVIDIA, obviously. And this divergence has continued this entire year. And to me, this tells me that, hey, maybe AMD was one of the very first few companies, as one of the leading semiconductor companies, to tell us that maybe semiconductor names are starting to see that growth story sort of dissipating and maybe being a bit more too concentrated onto NVIDIA, while the other individual leading semiconductor names like AMD, Qualcomm, Broadcom continue to move lower. Well, Broadcom obviously did a lot better since they're not really entirely focused on AI chips. They have other things going on like telecommunications, but that's another story. And the reason why I bring up Broadcom or AVGO, remember that's the ticker symbol, AVGO, is that I'm invested in it, right? I'm a bit heavily invested in it right now, so I'm a bit biased, but I won't get into it since this video is about AMD. Okay, so AMD here, to me, this kind of makes me feel that as we head into next year, we can continue to at least stick to the parameters set up by these two descending trend lines. And even without, even with disregarding NVIDIA or maybe even the other companies like Qualcomm and Broadcom, ticker symbols QCOM and ticker symbols AVGO respectively, even if they decide to move up higher, AMD can still move to the downside, believe it or not. Because just from a technical standpoint, it kind of seems like the price is waiting on the weekly time frame for an official retest of this massive weekly 200 SMA. And why do I say that? Well, let me just take out all my trend lines here, okay, my technical analysis, and let's just focus on my SMAs, my dear beloved 4 major SMAs: the daily 10, my red, the daily 21, the light blue, the daily 50, the dark blue line, and the 200, the yellow line. Okay, so whenever I see, hey, what's up, the Corleone family, what's up, man? Thank you for the sub. You said I need to reach 142.50 to break even at least, or 143.20 for profit by tomorrow morning. Oh, I see. I don't know if you're holding weekly options, but it seems like it. But I will go into a bit more of the current trend, the current short-term trend on the daily time frame and the intraday time frames soon. But once I go over this weekly time frame first, okay? So with AMD, these SMAs that I have, so whenever I see the weekly price or the weekly candlesticks here staying below my major weekly 10 and weekly 21 and weekly 50 SMAs, that is usually an indication that the price for the longer term, mid to longer term, wants to retest the weekly 200 SMA. Now that's unfortunate, obviously, since that means we have a lot more moves to the downside left. But at the same time, just from the candlesticks alone now, we are forming what it seems to be a pretty nice textbook bear flag, right? So we have a nice resistance there, okay? And then a nice support right here, okay? And at some point, as the price is consolidating, right, the weekly 10 and weekly 21 SMAs, these two close SMAs here that you guys see here, are going to catch up to the price, and we're going to see a massive rejection, and we can see an eventual break below and to create another new lower low, continuing this downtrend that we've been seeing since the year began, literally, right? Since we topped out back in February and March. So now, what does this mean for AMD in the near-term future? Well, I think that at least as this rising weekly 200 SMA continues, we can possibly see the price hitting around the range of 120 to around, I would say 123 to 122, right? So maybe at least at the lows of this weekly candlestick, okay? So basically 120 to around 122, just to round up. That will make sense for me as a new area of a pivotal point for the price after a nice break to the downside. But that would also mean that we will lose this major area of demand that I've been pointing out for a couple of weeks here. Actually, even before we came back down to retest it. So somewhere around late October here, this 128 to 135 demand area, because this is another area that you guys should probably have on your charts too, because it's very important. Why? Well, if we do see a pivot at 120 or 122, we can see a revisit back to 128 and 135 and use it as a new area of supply. And is that even better for the buyers here or for the entire bullish group? No. The short answer is no, right? Because that just simply means that we're possibly getting another lower high, right? Lower pivot point here as we continue this downtrend. Now, to be a bit more optimistic, okay, now let's be a little bit more optimistic here. I would love to see an ideal retest of this 120 level, or at the minimum, the, well, not even minimum, maximum, the 122 pivot coinciding with this weekly 200 SMA, right? And if that comes together, if we see a coinciding retest of this weekly 200 SMA and at the pivot of either 120 or 122, we can see a massive surge in buyers and in volume, right? And again, we can see that in the volume if we see a large surge in buyers from accumulation of short-term and long-term buyers, and that can help to support the price back up higher and essentially restart a new uptrend, so that maybe from a longer-term future we can possibly break out of this macro descending trend or out of this descending channel. So again, longer-term perspective, to be a bit more optimistic, we are forming a nice descending channel. No doubt about that, right? And again, a descending channel is inherently a textbook bullish chart pattern. So, I don't know when this will happen. I don't know if this current bear flag will break to the downside. All I know is that we are currently seeing it. And all I know is that the price, well, whenever on the weekly time frame we see the price staying below my major SMAs here and it's still staying above the weekly 200 SMA, we do tend to retest it. So that is something that you guys should consider for the mid to long term future. Okay, so with that in mind, let's bring back the music here. Okay, so hopefully I'm not cutting out right now. And Corleone family here. What a nice name there for your username. Let's go over the current price action. Okay, so I can most definitely see some sort of a bounce happening tomorrow, right? A small bounce, and maybe even reaching that 142.50 whole number level that you're trying to reach for at least a break even tomorrow, since it seems like you do have weekly option contracts. And I really hope that that is the case. And hopefully that is the ideal case for you if that happens tomorrow, or maybe even a slight small gap up, which will be even more amazing, so that you guys can, you can get out, break even at market open. But again, things aren't looking a little too good here still on the daily time frame. Why? Well, first of all, the overall semiconductor did not prove to have its relative strength and momentum back after a gap up yesterday. If you take a look at SMH or even Soxel, right? Let's take a look at Soxel. So this one was a swing trade that I took on yesterday, and I got full out today for almost 25%, right? So I had a max stop loss range of 20% to 25% on this one. But again, it was a small loss. Why? Because I had such a great, quarter of this year so far, the last quarter and quarter three. So again, negative 20 to 25% wasn't too much for me. I mean, this is one single trade that I attempted and I followed to a T with my stop loss, so I'm very proud about that. But you know, with this type of price action on the overall semiconductor sector, it kind of makes me lose a little bit of confidence, not gonna lie, about what can happen tomorrow as we head into jobs data as well during pre-market hours. So yeah, expires tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought. I'll take whatever I can get on market open tomorrow. Yes, good thinking, good positive thinking is what you always need whenever you are in either a losing position or when the price action and the overall technical analysis seems a little bit too unfavorable for your current position, right? So it's optimism is the way to go, guys, right? So good on you, man, good on you. So AMD here, I like it. I still like it in the short term. Why? Because we're still respecting this kind of an ascending channel or a potential rising wedge, which is both bearish chart patterns, unfortunately. But there's a chance that the price can try to at least stay above my daily 10 and 21 SMAs, which it just has recovered, okay, since it broke below it back in, well, on the earnings day, actually, on October 30th, on the reaction to earnings. So it broke below the daily 10 and the daily 21 SMAs. And since then, it hasn't been too good. Why? Because the price is staying below all my major long-term SMAs on the daily time frame as well. The daily 200 and the daily 50. So just an overall perspective, especially from an SMA perspective, right? This doesn't look good, okay? But if the price can show me tomorrow on AMD that it can hold over the daily 21 and the daily 10, even if it does retest the daily 10 SMA tomorrow early morning and potentially pivot off of this retest of the daily 10, there is a chance that we can end up moving up higher into the rest of the day. So that is kind of my ideal scenario that I have for AMD for the immediate price action for tomorrow. Again, I truly would like to see AMD staying over the daily 10 and daily 21 SMAs, which it has been, right? But we're also seeing an increase in volume, and today we got an even bigger volume compared to yesterday, and there's a chance that this hammer candlestick could be what we like to call an hanging man, right? So a hanging man candlestick. Okay, let me actually just give you a quick look here. If I go to images on Google, if it will load. I don't want videos. Thank you. There we go. So this could be possible as well. Okay, I mean, today's candlestick, we broke below yesterday's lows. Okay, so that's not really good. And we made a new low, right? So that could be potentially confirming, but yet again, guys, this is just based on the candlesticks. I'm still loving the fact that we made a hammer candlestick yesterday as we stayed above the daily 21 and the daily 10 SMA, and the daily 10 SMA continues, right? It continues to curl up higher. And so if we do get a retest tomorrow, there is still a chance that from a short-term perspective, not a mid to long-term perspective, we could see a bounce as long as we can continue to move within the parameters set up by these two trend lines, right? And again, from a longer-term perspective, these two trend lines are born out of this nice bear flag that we're seeing. All right, so if you guys don't see it, let me give you guys a quick, I don't want to brush here, quick view here. So here is the flagpole and here is the flag. All right, typical textbook bear flag. All right, so it's a complete flipped version of a bull flag. You guys get the picture, right? I mean, this is my kindergarten scribble. Okay. All right, so now, do I think from a longer term perspective, let's switch back to the longer term perspective, the mid to longer term perspective. Do I think that we have more of an opportunity to try to head up towards 187 in the mid to long term future? Yes, that's for sure. Why? Because AMD is still doing what it needs to do to catch up to NVIDIA. They're still working hard. And again, from the recent advanced AI event in October 10th, right, on October 10th that they've held in San Francisco, it was impressive, right? It was impressive. However, again, it just wasn't impressive enough for the markets to be completely, wowed, right? They're like, wow, AMD is catching up to NVIDIA. Maybe they can go head to head. That wasn't the reaction. How do we know this? The market told us, right? The market has pushed prices down on NVIDIA from the highs of October, right, to the lows of November, which is about nearly 23%, negative 23%. Okay, so this could be concerning, right? But from a longer term perspective, I truly think a good dip buy is possibly coming for AMD. And depending on market conditions, depending on how the overall sector is doing for semiconductors, and again, let me remind you guys, I think the growth story for semiconductors could be dissipating as it's been only focused on one single semiconductor company, which is NVIDIA. And we could possibly be seeing more people looking at semiconductors as a quote-unquote value company or value group, right? Since, again, they are the powerhouse of the AI revolution, and we're now seeing kind of the implications of what that means. And we're seeing more of the beneficiaries of what the semiconductor companies are powering going towards these companies that are benefiting off of the chips that these companies are making, right? And so the market is rewarding them right now, as we see currently right now, even today after hours, with software companies. So my overall conclusion is that AMD, again, as I've stated before this stream even began, before I began talking about the overall sector and what I think about it and how the bull market is healthy off of the sector rotations, even with individual leading groups between software and semiconductors, I still believe that AMD, you can be bearish and bullish simultaneously as long as you know where to apply those preferences and biases in the time frames, right? So again, for me, longer term, weekly and monthly, I will be bullish as long as we can see a shorter term move lower, a continued move lower at that, towards my weekly 200 SMA, or at least a pivotal point like 120 to 122. Does that make sense? Hey Chris, what's up? Yeah, you want to go long AMD? Well, I still think there is a chance in a short-term perspective that you can still have a pretty good swing trade or even a day trade out of this as it continues to make a very nice bear flag here. And as long as it, again, continues to form and sticks to the parameters set up by this bear flag here, this ascending resistance trend line and ascending support trend line. Okay? So don't be discouraged just because of my words, okay? I'm just giving you guys my honest thoughts. I know some of you guys might want me to be more bullish or more bearish, but at this point in time, what the chart is telling all of us is that we need to be kind of in the gray area. I mean, just from the overall trend alone. I mean, we're in a descending channel, right? So descending channel is bullish, textbook bullish, inherently bullish chart pattern, but the actual price trend within this descending channel is bearish. Why? Because it's a textbook downtrend, lower highs and lower lows. Okay, and this trend has been continuing since it began in February and March. Okay, so yes, we like to keep it honest here, literally. Okay. So now, before I forget and before this stream is over, I really want you guys to, well, I'm gonna do a little bit of self-promoting here, right? Because why not? I mean, I know what I do here. I know what we do here together as a community. But if you guys are not in our CFO Swing and Watch report, if you guys are not a member of the CFO Swing and Watch report, and if you guys want to become a reader of the report, make sure you guys DM me on Instagram at chartsfocus1. Okay, it's just one word, no spaces, no hyphens, nothing like that. just DM me on Instagram at chartsfocus1, right? So for any of the readers or members that are watching right now, if you guys want to put in a little review on the chat room here, go ahead. Right? But as I was saying here, I kind of want to mention this because this report that comes out every single week is a great top to bottom analysis of the overall markets, a very in-depth analysis at that as well. And I personally do lots of reading, hours and hours of reading from Friday all the way up into Sunday when I write the report early morning, all the way up into late afternoon, which then gets edited and then it gets sent out to you all, right? So, I put a lot of work in this and I really want you guys to kind of, I really want to give you guys this opportunity to join us tonight by me offering you guys with a 50% off discount code for your first 30 days. And I've said this before, but I really don't think you guys will be, just regretting your choice of joining. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, right? I think I can guarantee it that you guys will be satisfied with your choice by becoming a reader of the CFO Swing Watch report that comes out every single week. And it comes along with a private CFO technical analysis video, right? A CFO Swing Watch reports technical analysis video. And again, the only reason why I'm always promoting this report every single live stream and every single week is that, well, I really believe that people should have the right to read it, right? I put so much energy and put so many hours and analysis together for you guys to be able to read it in a very easy manner, right? I literally just shorten everything into what I've learned, what I think is going to happen with the markets, what I think will happen in the next couple of weeks, what I will think will happen in this trading week, in the new trading upcoming week, and I just put it all in there, right? And so if you guys want to see a little example here, let me give you guys a quick look before I finish the live stream. Okay. All right. So this was this week's report. Okay. Let me actually fill open. I have a lot of reports here. So right here. So this was this week's report. Okay. And sometimes they can be very long, sometimes they can be quite short because again, we're just focusing on certain stuff, and it just sometimes pays to keep it simple, right? But it's one of those things where people might think that the report might have too little of information, but sometimes keeping it simple is the best, and keeping it simple may make you the most amount of money. Why? Because keeping it simple allows you to actually execute on all these ideas that I provided so far in every single report without thinking too much. Why? Because the research is already done for you. Right? I mean, I can't keep it more simpler than this. I even said the grammar wrong there to emphasize that it really gets simple when you read the report every single week, right? I mean, so, that's kind of the reason why I think everyone deserves a chance to at least read it for one single month. If you don't like it, that's your choice. You can unsubscribe. I am not holding you guys back. I'm not asking questions, okay? If you guys want to become a reader of the CFO Swing Watch report, DM me on Instagram tonight. Again, DM me on Instagram at chartsfocus1. You guys can see my username on here on YouTube. So just put that on Instagram and I will pop up. DM me on Instagram. I will provide a personalized 50% off discount code for your first 30 days. All right. And really, these reports are very, very valuable. And yes, just like one of my readers and members are saying here, okay, it's the best choice you've made for yourself if you join. Right, I've been here since almost the beginning a few years ago. Yes, Commander Sparky has been a member for almost, I think, 3.5 years, if I remember. Right, almost 3.5 years. right? Once 2025 comes around, it'll be officially 3.5 years. So I've been writing this report every single week for the past 3.5 years. And, you know, I've taught myself a lot of new things, and I'm sure more of my members have learned a lot more due to the report, right? And it just really satisfies me where you guys are able to get such great analysis every single Sunday night and actually be able to apply the information to your own trading journeys. Okay, and I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects about this report. Okay? And Commander Sparky, thank you for that quick review. Alright, so yeah, I mean, that is it. If you guys want to join, again, simply DM me on Instagram, and just because of the fact that you guys took the time out of your night to DM me, I will give you guys that personalized 50% off discount code for your first 30 days so that you guys can at least see what we are about and how we day trade and even swing trade. Right? So yes, obviously the CFO Swing and Watch report is meant for swinging. I don't know why some people got confused a couple of times. There have been a little bit of annoyed and angry messages sent to me, but I don't know what to say. The title says CFO Swinger Watch report. But then again, all of my ideas are very, very flexible. You can day trade it if you want to day trade it. I'm not holding you back, right? No one else is holding you back. If you want to day trade one of my swing trade ideas for the week, if it moves in our favor according to the analysis and the data that is provided in that analysis, you guys can do it. All right, you guys can choose to do that. All right. Well, that is it for me. Yes, Chris, haters are gonna hate. I mean, if they just read it, I don't know what else to say. The title is right there in big bold letters. Okay. All right. That is it for me tonight, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining. We had over 100 people joining tonight. Holy cow. That's amazing. I don't know what happened to the likes. I mean, I think the likes can go up a little bit more than this, but again, it's your choice to give the likes, guys. I mean, again, it just helps out the channel. It helps out the videos. It pushes out my videos on YouTube to really just show you guys what we're doing here, and you know, how my analysis can be very helpful for even you guys to actually apply it to your own trading journeys, right? So again, I'm here to help. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to help you guys really just expedite your learning curve in the trading world. And with that, thank you guys so much for joining. That is it for the streams for this trading week. I will see you guys next Tuesday at the same time at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for the likes. Thank you guys so much for coming in and joining and staying with me to the end. Have a great rest of your night and good luck tomorrow.